morning, everyone. This is Niharika Joshi from UpBrinGO. Parents work really hard whole day and they get exhausted. But after coming back home, they see a little bright eyes with a wide smile calling them, Mama, Papa, you're home. That immediately puts smile on their faces. And they feel work, whatever they do, or the efforts which they make, it's worth. We put every efforts to fulfill their materialistic needs. But is it true that fulfilling their materialistic needs can give them a proper upbringing? Answer is big no. By fulfilling their materialistic needs, you can only fulfill their physical needs, but you will be unable to give them a better upbringing or a better development. So, in today's session, we are going to discuss how parents can give children a better environment or help them to become a better individuals. To throw the light on today's topic, we have invited Ms. Ritika Azaria Kruvela. She's the founder of the Ashoka Tree. The Ashoka Tree is an NGO that works in early childhood education field, aiming for equal rights for children across India. Currently, Ashoka Tree is working with 60,000 children. So I hope, Ritika, you're doing good and everyone is healthy and safe at your place. So, Ritika, can you walk us through your journey, that how you started the Ashoka Tree? Yes, Ritika, over to you.
Hi, Niharika. It's lovely to see you and talk to you as always. The Ashoka Tree was a fairly small initiative that I started a couple of years ago. Basically, because as with most Indian households, I have children and we get a lot of gifts for birthdays, and birthdays are huge in our community. As we know, birthdays, any occasion, people visiting, you get gifts. And I realized that my kids were playing with just a little bit, and we had a cupboard filled with gifts that most of which were unopened. We had books, we had toys of, and I have twins, so we were getting double of everything. And then I realized we have this whole cupboard full of stuff that is not being used. So I started asking around about places I could give this to, because I was feeling really guilty that we had so much stuff in the house that my kids weren't using. Starting with crayons, we always get 2 sets of crayons. So on inquiring, we found that there are these places called Anganwadis, which are government-run play schools, which essentially cater to underprivileged children between the ages of 2 to 6. So I said, okay, fine. And I took all my books and toys and decided to go there and give it, without realizing that these are government institutions. So you need a lot of permission before you even give a pencil. So we had to get a lot of permission in. We asked from the teacher to the supervisor, project officer, and ultimately reached the state welfare officer who said, listen, whatever you want to give, if you're a registered NGO, you can come and give it. So we said, okay. And then at that point, you think, why so much red tape? Why should I be a registered NGO? And then I realized, okay, since you want me to be a registered NGO, fine, I'll register. But actually, in retrospect, it makes sense. So you don't want people to promote their religion or promote a certain way of thinking, because that's all these kids will learn. And if you're an NGO, you're guaranteeing that you're a secular person who's looking towards better interests of a certain section of society, not necessarily for one particular reason. So we registered, and I went very grandly with my friend with a box of books and toys, and we go there, and then we find there are bigger problems. There's no electricity, there is no running water, no drinking water, no mosquito proofing, there are open drains. So it began with a small thing of making one bathroom, fixing one fan, ensuring someone has drinking water, ensuring someone has running water in the bathroom. And I originally thought we'd be doing this just, in my free time. I'm working otherwise, and when I have 5 minutes free once a week, I'll go and do something, is what I thought. But today we work with over 60,000 children in 2 states. We just started working in one more state in India. And uh, there are days when you feel like you're just scratching the surface, but ultimately we're still making an impact, because we're able to, I meet teachers I work with, children I work with, and people recognize me more than I recognize themselves. People have started recognizing my car. So when they see me driving down, someone's like, oh, make chai, So I think it's opened a whole new world for everyone who works at the Ashoka Tree in terms of our awareness of the community is so much bigger now. My friends are so much more varied now. I have friends who are supervisors, friends who are helpers in Anganwadis, people who call me with random problems in the middle of the night, people who send me WhatsApp forwards in languages I don't understand. But I think the best thing about the Ashoka Tree is it's opened up a whole new world that previously none of us knew existed. And I think to be able to make a difference,
You just lost your last sentence. I think you're facing some
oh,
network issue. Can you
what
just repeat that again?
I said, we're just lucky to be able to do our little bit.
Yes, yes, cool. So
Yes.
yeah, Ritika, you have no idea. You are contributing so much to the society, and really, you're doing a great job. So let's start the discussion on today's topic. So, according to you, what is child upbringing?
So I've thought about this a lot. There's a huge difference between upbringing and education versus so much more in how we, you know, help a child grow up. And as parents, there's a huge difference that we don't realize. Now we talk about upbringing as actually you can have spiritual upbringing, you can have general upbringing, but your childhood upbringing is basically essentially the values you take back from home. So after we had this discussion, I've been thinking about it a little bit, and I realized it's not essentially just about your childhood. It's not the games you play or the food you eat or the kind of house you had or the kind of programs you watched on TV, but it's what you learn in terms of what is right and what is wrong that makes your upbringing. So, as children, what have we taken from our parents? Have we learned that, when you go to a restaurant, it's okay to shout at the waiter and say, "Hello, I asked for hot water and you've given me cold water"? Or have we learned to say, "Excuse me, can you change this glass of water because I think you got the wrong thing"? So that's the thing that, essentially makes a difference in the kind of child we are bringing up in our house. And that, I think, is the fundamental basis of what upbringing is, essentially values that you get from home.
So, as we know, when the generation changes, time changes, the way we look towards the life changes. So, it's necessary to understand that we have people with a different generations, and they have a different psychology or different approach to see towards the life. So, why should a parent raise their child any differently than they themselves were raised? Go ahead.
So why things are different is, as human beings, as adults, all of us want to be a little bit better than what our parents were. So I think irrespective, it's a generational thing. Everyone wants to be, okay, if my dad shouted at me like this, I will not shout at my son the same way. And that essentially, I think, is the fundamental reason we change a little bit. There's a lot of values we take in from our parents as well, in terms of maybe religion, maybe the kind of food we serve in our homes. But there are also, with the changing times, a lot of values that should change. Let's take, for instance, the fact that we all have smartphones in our house now. So
Yes.
now, what are we teaching our children? That it's okay to eat dinner while you're scrolling through social media? Or are we telling them, hello, dinner is when you put your phone outside and everyone sits at the table, we eat together and actually talk to each other? And I think those are things that evolve with time as technology changes. I mean, there used to be a time I think all of us could sit in front of TV and watch a cricket match together. How many of us still do that? Or are we all sitting in our respective rooms? Because anyway, it's not about TV anymore. You can watch it on your phone. Do we sit together and enjoy that moment? I think all Indian families can identify with that, watching an India Pakistan match and shouting every time someone Sachin hits a six. But I think, do we still do that? And I think that's essentially what has to evolve and change. We have to remember the good things that we have learned from when we were children, but also create a new set of values that, look, this is how we do it in our house, and this is how you need to be when you go out into the world. Because what you are in future to the outside world essentially comes from what you were taught at home.
True. That's true. Yes. So, like, what are the aspects of upbringing that are easily overlooked?
Because there are many aspects that are easily overlooked. I mean, we can uh, So I was doing a little bit of reading about it after we talked as well. We can talk about so many things in terms of, what kind of parents we are. Are we very strict? But I think we forget the difference between being a strict and overbearing parent, whereas being a parent and yet being able to have a cordial relationship with your child. What happens is when we're over strict or when we are more controlling, the child tends to rebel. And then that's when the communication gets lost. So the idea is to give them a set of values that say, look, this is how we do it in our house, and you go with this. But you also tell me when you've gone wrong. It's okay if you're going wrong. It's okay if you make mistakes. I have been human too. I have made mistakes. And the only way children learn that is that if we learn to apologize in front of them. And I think this is something that I've been trying to do as a parent. And I hope I've been successful. And I'll only know this in 10 years. But to be able to apologize for when we're wrong. So sometimes it can be work pressures that put you in a really bad temper, and someone comes in and says, Mama, can you just draw a street? And you're like, can't you see I'm busy? Don't come in here.
Mhm.
But to later go back and say, I'm sorry, I snapped at you. I didn't mean it. It's not your fault. Takes a lot because you're so busy being an adult and a parent, you forget to apologize. And I think apologizing also teaches them to apologize later in relationships they may have, because there will be a girlfriend or a boyfriend later on where something will happen, or a spouse, and you should be able to say, I'm sorry. It's okay. Nobody is losing ego out of it. Nobody's losing stature, but to be able to apologize is a big thing.
Yes.
And I
So,
think that's where most parents go wrong.
so Ritika, what type of parent you are?
So this is a tricky question because most of the time I think I'm not sure I'm the
No,
parent I
because
really
like I
want to
have
be.
friends like you. I asked them so many times. So okay, what type of parents you are? So they always ask me, "What this question? Why are you every time whenever you meet me? Why do you ask this question to me?" To understand more parental psychology, I have asked you this.
So I think I'd like to think I'm a very balanced parent, although I know there are days I go absolutely crazy. It's like I think my children will give you a better answer of this. I will control my temper for like a long time, and then someone has to just drop one spoon and then I'll blow. And they'll be like, why shouted I just dropped the spoon? But actually it would have been some 2 days worth of irritation that's sort of piling up, piling up, piling up. But I think they're very clear about what my set of values are, and we've been lucky to have them at home during the pandemic. And I will say that it's been, I mean, this is the luxury of being a middle class Indian family, right? We're so lucky to have them at home right now because they're just getting into their teenage years. And it's a brilliant time to be able to learn that this is how we do it in our house. This is the set of values we have. These are the kind of people we are. And I think we've also been able to discuss a lot more stuff together as a family that we otherwise would not have discussed. The kind of movies we watch, things that are happening in society, um, news, everyday news from the newspaper, to be able to discuss that together and say, look, this is what I think about what's happening in the world today. What do you think about it? And to say, look, this is where that view may be wrong. And this is where there's a different kind of view. And to also impose a little more secular way of thinking, because right now what's happening is, I think with religions, especially all across the world, we're becoming so hardcore and so serious about things. Even with racism, jokes are not, you can't crack a joke about things that we used to laugh about in the 90s, and things like, there are words that I might use that these guys are like, Mama, that's so racist, don't say that. And I'm like, hello, we used to call each other things like this,
I
and no
know.
one said a thing. And in a world where Enid Blyton is now being called racist, I'd like to hope that I'm the parent that brings a sort of balance to them and says, look, it's okay if someone cracks a joke about the color of your skin. It's okay, don't take it seriously. That doesn't matter, but move on. I mean, they didn't mean it badly, and they're going to forget what they said in 2 minutes, but move on. You don't have to record it and post it on social media and have 15 people hate that person for it. So it's okay. I'd like to hope I have a serious balance between being a disciplined parent and being a good friend. I
Okay,
hope I'm
yeah,
that.
that's a good thing. Yeah, I that's true. I believe like as I know, I think we have known each other from last 1 month. We just had a brief
Yeah, it feels
conversation.
like longer.
Yeah, it feel like a longer, and I've become more comfortable with you while the days are passing and the way we are interacting with each other. Yeah, it's a really good thing. Yeah, so I can sense like what type of parent you are right now. Yes, yes, cool. So like, why is happy and healthy environment is necessary or required for a child's upbringing?
Okay, so it's very easy to say a happy and healthy environment is necessary, but I think a lot of the time we also forget that creating that happy and healthy environment is so tough on parents as well. So I was talking to some children from a school in Chennai recently about, how do parents not identify childhood depression? And I realized, see, that's because parents today, especially with the pandemic and the fact that we're most of us still working from home, are super stressed out with work pressures, running the house. And the least thing on your list of things to do is to ensure everybody's smiling and happy. And that is such a tough thing to live with right now. 2020, 2021 has been super tough on adults. Anyone over the age of 18 has really struggled. Over the age of 18, you're stuck in this house with parents who are wanting to know who you're talking to, what you're messaging on the phone. And, uh, parents themselves are stuck between, okay, do I answer this call? Do I take this work call? And I think there is no woman in India who is not working, who has not secretly cooked a meal while being on a Zoom call and had your
That's
camera
true.
off. And, so there's been a lot of pressure for everybody everywhere. But ultimately, I think creating that happy environment boils down to how happy you are as a person inside. Are you comfortable with what you've achieved as a person inside? And that's what makes you happy outside. And these are people I've met online over the past year. And I've realized so much of what you project of yourself online is actually who you are inside. Are you satisfied with what you're doing at work? Are you satisfied with who you've become as an adult? Are you okay with that? Because if you're not okay with that, you're going to be really messed up. You're going to be upset. You're going to get upset with things on social media. You're going to start feeling jealous of other people. And that's when, dominoes start falling. And then, ultimately it has such a bad effect on your whole outlook on life. You start getting disgruntled with where you are at home, with the people around you, and then you get grumpy. And ultimately, attitude spreads. So if I'm in a bad mood, I might shout at my husband, who might shout at someone at work, and that person might shout at his wife, who might shout at his child. So we have spread that whole disgruntlement, shall we say, from our house down into another house, and all online. That's the power of emotions today. Whereas if you concentrate and smile, and I've done this to you so often, I think all of us smile at the Ashoka tree. If you just smile, suddenly the world is better, the world is brighter. And smiling makes such a difference in terms of what we project about ourselves and as also about what we feel inside. So you can be having the worst day ever, but if you just shut down the laptop for 2 minutes, take a breath, walk around, whether you're in your house or walk down to the provision store, turn around and come back, but you just smile at one person on the way, you've done your job, you've spread that smile. And the Shokati is so much about spreading smiles. So spreading smiles at home counts. And I've been trying to tell these kids, although nobody listens to me, to wake up in the morning and smile and say good morning. I'm the only one that's smiling, and I feel like people are getting irritated at me for smiling. But I think it helps a lot. Creating a healthy environment automatically comes with a happy environment. So once you are satisfied with who you are and you are smiling and happy, the rest of the house, goes with it. And ultimately, the pulse of the house goes with the mother. You
Hmm.
will not believe the power of a woman, but everything is just on the mother. So if she is unhappy, everybody is unhappy. So if we have men who are looking at this, I would suggest you try and make your wife smile today. But ultimately, as women, we are much stronger than we know. We have taken so much in life. It starts with, when you're a teenager, you take so much out of from your parents, you take so much from the community, you take so much from your spouse, you take so much from your kids. Everyone has these great expectations, but you know what, your happiness is only in you. So if you just smile, it gets better, everything gets better to bear.
Cool. So, as a parent, right? We for a better upbringing of kids and for their self development, we should do some personal changes as well. And if you talk about behavioral aspects or the way we think that in that way as well. So according to you, what the changes a parent should make in their personal life for a child's better upbringing?
So children learn more through action than words. So the easiest way to impact how you are bringing up your child is how you act as a person yourself. When you pick up that phone from a subordinate at office, are you shouting? Are you being rude? Are you using foul language? That's what your child is picking up. And I think as parents, we have to always remember that they're watching us, they're watching every move. Are you running that red light? When it stops red, are you running past it and telling your kid it's okay to break rules? Or are you waiting and singing a song at your steering wheel and saying, look, it's red, let's wait till it turns green? So that's what kids learn much more than anything else. You may say you can lecture them 15 times a day about, tie your shoelaces. But if they watch you tying your own shoelaces, is when they get it. And I think so much of our attitude rubs off unconsciously on kids, and we don't realize it till you see them behaving like you. And that's when you're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm making a mistake. So we may have younger children in the house who don't, who aren't on social media yet, but there will come a time when they are on social media. And then when you're at the table and you want to talk to them and you find them scrolling through and them not looking up, that's when you realize, hello, that's what I taught them.
Yes.
So I think our biggest learning as parents is to put your phone away, give them some time, teach them to be the kind of person you want them to be, and you be that person as well. um, how you talk to your spouse, are you snapping at them, are you getting angry with each other in the house? Because that's what kids see. Or are you helping, are you smiling, you know are you being kind to each other? Kids always watch, they watch all the time, and even if they're not pretending like they're not watching, they're watching. They eavesdrop on every conversation. So how we speak to other people, how we speak to each other, how we help ourselves also makes a difference. So as women, are we, you know dressing up for ourselves, not because we have to go to a community function that people are going to see, but keep yourself happy first and everything else will fall into place. So I think our biggest thing is treating ourselves and each other better, because that's what kids learn, really.
That's true. Yeah. So, like, according to you, how can we change the bad habits of kids at their early age?
So the thing is, what constitutes a bad habit is, one is to recognize a bad habit. What we consider a bad habit may not necessarily be so bad in reality. So we did this workshop with parents of underprivileged children who have just recently got phones over the past year and are supposedly online schooling. So their concern was, how do you take the phone away from the child? The child is perpetually saying he is working online, but I don't know what he's doing. And that's a bit scary, right?
Yes, it's
So,
very
so it's
scary.
it's like so the thing is, when you have a parent who is not completely with it, and then this kid is pretending to be studying but is actually not, and that's a bit scary. So I think how we control a bad habit is at that point, and we did this in connection with another NGO, and what they said was, instead of saying give me that phone, sit
Mm.
with them and say, show me what you're doing, let me also see. So it's a different approach to it. And then the child starts opening up a little bit. See, look at my class, see how they're talking. And that's the only way you can also find other underlying problems like online bullying, which is happening. Or you find a child who's not wanting to log into class. Yeah, well, what happened? Show me. Let me see. Let me sit with you. And I think the biggest way is to sit with them and talk to them and find out. So communication is a huge thing. Bad habits don't happen overnight, but it's when that communication gap stops is when bad habits actually can crop up. And right now, I think the worst problem that's happening for children is internet usage. We have no
Yes,
idea what
there
they're
is a
doing
lot.
online. We don't know what games they're playing. We don't know who they're chatting with. And I think unless you spend time with kids, seeing what they're doing all the time, you'll never be able to control it. And you have to set a limit for gadgets at home, for yourself and for the kids. There
Yes,
has to
if
be a
you
limit.
go in a rural area, I believe their kids can like operate cell phone or a technology better than their parents, and it's a very devastated, and it's not at all good for their mental health.
Exactly. This is so true. And see, all of us think we've got a hand on it, but actually we don't either. So these kids are supposed to be studying online. How do we know that they've attended every class, or they've just opened that window and they're like doing something else on the other window? We don't. So that's when, see, as educated parents, we will probably put in some software that, an antivirus software that tracks what the kids do, that has explicit content switched off, that has YouTube switched off. But I think ultimately the only way is to keep that communication open. Sit with them, show me what you're doing. Na? Okay, you're playing, let me see. Can I play with you? Am I good at it? And look at me, mama's so rubbish at playing. And that's the only way kids get comfortable enough to tell you what's going right and what's going wrong. Which and that's it. And I think that's the only way we can protect our own children, is by being there to say, look, if someone says mean to you, don't wait, don't react, leave it, exit. Do not accept chat requests from friends outside. It's a huge learning, and I think the only way is communication has to stay open. You can't
Like you
stop
can say
something, you can prevent it.
being transparent helps a lot at the time of
Oh,
uh,
absolutely.
yes. If you encountered yourself or your kids in this type of situations, then being transparent helps a lot.
I think people like me, I read a lot, so I go so even before online classes started last year, I had that software on the laptop, because I like, see, I know what is there on the internet, and you guys are too young to know what is right and wrong, what you should be watching, what you shouldn't be watching, because once you see something, you can't take it away from your mind. And that is a scary place to be. And prevention is better than cure. So prevent it, protect them, let them be children as much as possible. Let them go outside and play as much as possible. Whatever little space, get fresh air. Don't sit inside with a gadget.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, this is the last question. Why is the need of change right now?
So, as with everything wonderful about the planet, everything evolves. People evolve, times evolve, technology is changing every second. Who knew we'd be doing this on Zoom today? Last
Yes,
year, if you had
that's
asked me, I
true.
would have said, yeah, yeah, in a month we're done. I thought, so when the kids came home from school, I thought, okay, maximum a month. By April, they're going to be back in school. Who knew 1.5 years on, we've still got children at home? Who knew 1.5 years on, Anganwadis wouldn't be open? I think for us as adults in a better place, the
Mhm.
fact that there is the ability to evolve, and this is where UpBrinGO comes in. You guys have created a platform looking to the future, and that has been huge for people like us. We've managed to connect with a team of people at UpBrinGO who have really looked into the future, and that really helps.
Oh,
And I
that's
think
so sweet of
evolving is a big thing. No, it's true, because we're looking at collaborating to bring in software for unaided preschools, government preschools across India. And that's a huge thing, because nobody is looking at that. That's a huge market. And that's so many millions of children between the ages of 2 to 6 who are uneducated. And I think today someone had quoted Raghuram Rajan of saying that, this is the divide that's being created between kids who go to good schools and kids who go to government schools, because one is they don't have smartphones, and two is they're not able to keep up with the online education. So they're already 2 years behind everyone who goes to a private school, which is a bit unfair. And in terms of the gap in education, it's just getting bigger. How do we change? We help. And that's where you guys come in. Upbring was doing this amazing thing of putting preschool kids back on the scene, because preschool kids across India, no matter what school, they don't have attention. They're not going to sit and listen to a teacher teaching. But what you guys are doing is amazing. You're getting these kids back into the education system, saying, hello, come on, don't stay behind. And it's an important foundation, right? Preschool education. If that goes wrong, everything else goes wrong. Kids don't stay in school because their preschool foundation has been so bad. If you don't learn the alphabet, you don't learn how to read, which means you don't read your textbooks, which means you don't sit for exams, which means you don't get past grade 5. So there's a huge portion of Indian children who are going to face that problem, but there's also a huge portion who are going to manage to make it thanks to you.
So that's so sweet of her. First of all, thanks for your kind words. And second thing, it was really a thought-provoking session. You're truly a gem. You're really a loving
Oh,
person.
look at
Yes,
me.
that's true. That's true. Because, like I told you, like I'm day by day, like the way I look towards you, it's changing, and I really admire you. The way you think, the way you represent your thought. It's really good. Yeah, that's so sweet
Oh
of
no, no, no. You just say nice things. But it's been
you.
amazing. You
Whatever
guys
it
are
is, I speak
brilliant.
truth. That's it.
No, you guys are brilliant. I've been talking about you all over the place because you guys are, it's such a good thing. And I think what's important is that your heart is in the right place. You could have easily done this on a much bigger platform, charged a bomb and got away with it, but you chose not to. And it's that one choice that's making you who you guys are.
Yes, like as the Ashoka Tree is working, it's contributing to a society. We really want to help the people who are in tier 2 and tier 3 just to provide them a better education. Our understanding for children is never wrong. But as we want to grow them a better individuals with a stunning personality, we should take care of their mental health as well. As the world changes very rapidly, our thoughts must as well. The children require good company to understand them and help them to become a better individuals. So I believe their birth giver and caretakers are the best individuals to do so. So this is Niharika Joshi signing off until the next time. Take care, stay safe, bye bye.